Hi there. Welcome to Stories Addiction. If you love captivating stories, mysterious tales, and thought-provoking content, you're in the right place. I'm here to share fascinating experiences and dive into topics that spark curiosity. Don't forget to hit subscribe and join me on this exciting journey. If you'd like a different tone or focus, let me know. The story of the strange school. Have you ever wondered how silent buildings hide the most terrifying secrets? Sometimes, places that seem innocent and ordinary during the day turn into centers of fear at night. Today, we're diving into the story of a school where the walls hold a chilling mystery that will send shivers down your spine. A strange schools are usually silent places, but today, I'm going to tell you about a school that was unlike any other, a truly strange one. This is a true story, and I'm sharing it with you today. Before I begin, let me introduce myself. I am a private school teacher and have worked in many schools. This school, however, was new to me. I had joined it after bidding farewell to my previous school. From my first day, I found this school eerily quiet. I didn't let anyone notice my feelings and continued teaching. A few days later, I mentioned to a senior teacher that the school felt strange. He smiled and said, "It doesn't just feel strange, it is strange." He then narrated an incident, and that's what I'm going to share with you today. This was a beautiful school, catering to students from nursery to grade 8. It had 10 classrooms, an office, and a computer lab where students learned about technology. The entire school was air-conditioned. Outside the classrooms, there was a gallery adorned with pictures of people who had achieved greatness, such as inventors, generals, and other notable figures. The owner of this school was a volunteer for Dawat-e-Islami. He used to assist them in collecting donations and spreading Islamic teachings. As a result, students from Dawat-e-Islami often visited the school. One day, a student from Dawat-e-Islami came to meet the owner for some work. It got late, and the owner suggested he stay at the school overnight and leave in the morning. The student agreed. By this time, it was already evening. It was summer, and in our city, electricity would return at midnight. Everyone stayed with the student until then, waiting to turn on the air conditioning for him. At midnight, they left him alone in the deserted school with food and a bed, asking him to call if he needed anything. They returned home, as their houses were nearby. The next morning, when they arrived at the school, they found the student trembling in a corner of the room. When they asked him what had happened, he told them his terrifying experience. The student's account. After you left, I decided to sleep early because I had to wake up for Fajr. As I lay on the bed, I heard the main gate of the school being knocked on. I thought you had returned, so I went to check. But when I opened the door, no one was there. I felt a little uneasy, but convinced myself it must have been my imagination. I went back inside, locked the inner door, and lay down again. But soon, I heard the knocking again. I rushed to the door, wondering who could be disturbing me so late at night. This time, too, there was no one outside. Now I was scared, but tried to calm myself, thinking it might just be a prank or a misunderstanding. I returned to my room, but as I was about to lie down again, I heard the knocking for the third time. This time, it wasn't the outer gate or the other classrooms. It was my room's door. I froze in fear. There was no one else in the school but me. My heart began to race, and I started reciting prayers for protection. Summoning all my courage, I decided to open the door. But what I saw next made my blood run cold. The pictures in the gallery, the inventors, generals, and notable figures, many of whom had passed away, had come to life. They were standing in front of me saying, "Come out, we need to talk to you." Quickly locked the door from the inside, but to my horror, the door unlocked on its own. They dragged me out and began chanting something incomprehensible. I was so terrified that I fainted. When I regained consciousness, there was no one around. I frantically searched for my phone, but it was missing. At dawn, I finally found it lying in the courtyard. I spent the rest of the night sitting in a corner, trembling with fear, waiting for the morning so I could leave. After that incident, no one was ever allowed to stay in the school overnight. The haunted house. We were going through tough times back then. The landlord had given us a notice to vacate the house. My father was a government employee with a modest salary that was just enough to make ends meet. I was still studying, and my two younger sisters were also in school. There was no other source of income. Building our own house was out of the question, and renting a decent house was equally unaffordable. The house we were living in was old and had been our home for the past 15 years. The landlord occasionally raised the rent, but was mindful of my father's limited income. Over time, relations between our families had also developed, which further restrained him. However, there came a point when he decided it was time to renovate and rent the house out at a higher price. My father understood the landlord's position and, unable to pay the higher rent, decided to find another house. Our current house was simple in design, but my mother always dreamed of living in a beautiful home. Despite her unfulfilled desires, she maintained our modest house impeccably. When the search for a new house began, my mother's wish for a better place resurfaced. She hoped that perhaps this time, her dream might come true. Unfortunately, every house we visited either exceeded our budget or was in deplorable condition. One day, my father met an estate agent who told him about a house that was perfect for us. The owner had moved to the United States and wanted responsible tenants who would take care of the property. The rent, he claimed, was reasonable, though the house was slightly away from populated areas. After exhausting all other options, my father and I decided to visit the house. To our surprise, it was a grand bungalow with a large lawn, 3 bedrooms, a drawing room, and a modern kitchen. Although slightly neglected, the house had great potential. My father was skeptical about the rent, but the estate agent assured him that the owner was more interested in finding decent tenants than making money. Reluctantly, my father agreed to take the house. My mother was overjoyed when she heard the news and couldn't wait to see the place. Soon, we moved into the new house. My mother and sisters cleaned and arranged everything within a week. The house began to shine under their care, and life seemed to take on a new charm. But then, strange incidents started occurring. One day, my youngest sister was taking a shower when the water suddenly stopped. She called out to my mother, who noticed that water was running from all the other taps in the house. When she returned to the bathroom, the taps began working on their own. Another time, the kitchen faucet turned on by itself. Even our pet cat began behaving oddly, hissing and growling at empty spaces. These incidents were unsettling, but we dismissed them as minor inconveniences. However, things escalated when my uncle, who had come to stay with us, screamed in the middle of the night. He claimed he saw a creature with sharp teeth and horns blocking his way to the bathroom. One afternoon, as I sat in the lawn, I noticed a snake slithering toward me. Before I could react, it appeared to be held by invisible hands, waving threateningly in front of me. Terrified, I ran inside and told my father we had to leave the house. Despite his initial reluctance, my father agreed when more strange events unfolded. As we packed to leave, a neighbor approached my mother. She revealed that the house had a history of supernatural occurrences and that previous tenants had also left abruptly. We didn't waste any more time and moved out as quickly as possible. Although the house was beautiful, the inexplicable events were enough to convince us that some places are better left untouched. From then on, we were more cautious about choosing a place to live. Even today, the memory of that house sends shivers down my spine. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Your support means the world to me. Let's grow this community together. See you in the next video. Goodbye.